What's up, guys? It is Friday, November 7th, 2025. We're at the Bitcoin block height of 922,659. TikTok next block. I actually don't know what I'm going to talk about in this video, but I know I need to make one, so I got to do it. So I turn it on and let's get it. The government's too big. Financial literacy is important, and personal responsibility is even more important. I think that's the three things that I want to talk about with you today. First and foremost is this: you got to get your house in order, ladies and gentlemen. You got to get your finances in order. And how do you do that? You got to become more financially literate. You got to bring your financial IQ up. How do you do that? You got to study money, right? First things first. You're a Bitcoiner, most of you. And if you're not, follow me on this journey of becoming a Bitcoiner in this crazy world, because it is a crazy world, and you understand it. But the first thing you need to do is simple. You need to earn as much as you can, like we always talk about, spend less, and quote unquote invest the rest. And if you understand Bitcoin, put the rest in Bitcoin. All right, understand how the economy works, how capitalism is different from socialism, and I'll get into that in a second, and what it takes to get out here to become a, dare I say, irreplaceable person in the marketplace. All right, so get your financial literacy up, number one. Number two, take responsibility for yourself. Don't be a victim. And don't blame others for what you have and what you don't have. I'm seeing this stuff with the government shutdown right now. And it's just sad that so many people, so many able-bodied people. Well, let me say this. I'm not talking about the disabled who cannot work. I'm not talking about the elderly, that are retired, or people that really need these government subsidies that we have. Because, again, there are people that need it. And I believe that the government is needed to a certain extent. But especially as a man, never depend on someone else to feed you and your family, man. That is just, everything that you have and everything that you don't have, it's your fault, okay? Able-bodied workers out there. I see a lot of homeless people out here. I like to call them something else. There's a dumpster over there, and there's a bunch of them sitting by the dumpster. I call them, I hate to say this, but I call them, people that made bad decisions and people that chose to inject things in their body. Now there are people that are mentally ill and stuff like that, because there's a lot of them here. Mental illness is big here in Las Vegas. But just like we talk about with the rich and famous and the people that are on TV all the time and all this other stuff, we call them self-made, self-made millionaire or self-made billionaires. And that's true. You are self-made, but it works both ways. You're also self-made when you're poor, or when you're quote unquote homeless, or you choose to be a drug addict or stay. And again, I know drug addiction is bad. I have a lot of people in my family that are, addicted to drugs. So I'm not discounting that at all. Believe me, I know it's a disease and stuff like that. But again, when you start doing that, you're not working your way out of it, then again, it's all about personal responsibility. But you are what you do. Most of the time, you are, and you become what you think about most of the time. And you need to think about the things that you want and take your mind off the things that you don't want, and not blame anyone else, and take personal responsibility and take actions on the things that you think about and that you want. And again, you are a self-sovereign individual, especially here in America, in a capitalistic society. That's why so many people come here, because you have that individual liberty here. For now, we'll talk about that in another video. But you have to be responsible for your own actions. You have to take care of yourself first, and you have to make sure your house is in order, and don't depend on anyone. Okay. Now, with all that said, the government is still too big, and what do I mean by that? There's 450 departments on the federal level in the United States government. 450 departments that we have. in 249 and a half years of this country. All right, now you can check me on that. That's what it was before Doge. I don't know how many they shut down. And the reason I say the government is too big is simple. The United States elections are so big and such a big deal that people basically, dare I say, their whole life depends on who's the president or not. I've seen people, and this is including myself, but I'm different in this way, that people have moved out of the country because President Trump became president. And I was thinking the same thing about Kamala Harris. If she would have became president, I was thinking about leaving, going to Taiwan. You know, not because I'm a victim or I think or think she's a dictator or she's going to ruin my life. I just thought that I didn't want to be around a country that people are very, very stupid and fell for the lies, honestly. And again, is she a dictator? What do I think? Would she be a dictator? I don't think she would have ran the country, to be honest with you. I think she would have been another suit, just like Joe Biden was. Joe Biden was not running this country, in my personal opinion, YouTube. The government is too big because we have a government shutdown right now for 38 days. It's day 38. And all people are talking about, most people, is the shutdown. And people so dependent on the government. We have so many federal workers, and there's nothing wrong with having a federal job, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But here's what I say to that, right? On a little side tangent real quick. If you are so valuable, right, and you're valuable in the marketplace, then go out here to the public sector and get a job, right? If the federal government is shut down, just go. And again, I'm not saying it's easy to do that, okay? I get it, you know what I mean? And you can just come and replace your job and this, that, and the third. But again, this is why I tell people, get your financial IQ up, because if you are a federal worker and you're making a decent salary, now I'm talking about just federal workers now, I'm not talking about the people on food stamps. If you're a federal worker making a decent salary and you have to get a second job or, you know, get a second side hustle because you can't make ends meet on, you know, the government shut down, not giving you a paycheck for a couple of paydays. And again, I feel bad for them. But again, why don't you have any savings? Why don't you have an emergency savings account of at least 6 months to 24 months of all expenses? Again, that comes down to financial literacy. That comes down to ignorance, not having responsibility, and depending on another person or another entity paying you, right? What if they don't pay you, like what's going on right now, right? Same thing with the coffers of the USDA's emergency funds for the food stamps. These people that are depending on it so much, you got these woke judges, these activist judges, because that's what they are. They're activists. They're not real judges. They're just working in an arm for the Democrat Party to make sure the quote-unquote king doesn't get what he wants in his own presidential power, because he just exercises presidential power. Everyone has a certain amount of power in their job, and the president of the United States, even though he's not a king or a monarch, he does have a certain amount of power within the rights of the Constitution and the three branches of the government. He is the head of one of the three branches of government. That's the executive branch. He is the head of that. So for them to use the USDA's reserves for something that shouldn't be used, because again, this is for emergencies. The Democrat Party, in my personal opinion, are the reason why we have the shutdown. That's my personal opinion, okay? Because they're holding the government hostage. They had another meeting today, and they just basically said no, because of the ACA, and, that's another side tangent. But they're telling the President of the United States that you have to use the emergency funds now of $5 billion, about $5 to $6 billion, I've heard two different numbers, to use that to fund the government subsidies of food stamps of 42 billion people. And again, how long is that going to last? A month? Right? Just for these woke judges can stick to Trump, but then once that's over with, because again, that's just a temporary measure, it's not going to solve the problem. That's like somebody breaking their leg and putting a Band-Aid on it. You need to fix that bone. You need to mend that bone together. We need to open the government back up. Excuse me. And that's what's happening. It's the same thing. When you're a federal worker or any kind of worker, even in the private sector, you should have, in my personal opinion, as a person with financial literacy and a high financial IQ out here, you should have 6 to 18 months of expenses, total expenses. Now I'm talking about your rent, mortgage, everything. If it's $3,000 a month, food, everything, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $1,200, whatever it is, times that by 6 or times that by 18 or 24 or whatever, and that's what you should have in reserves. That way it gives you a cushion, right? It gives you a cushion if something like this happens. So when I see all these federal workers, which again, I feel bad for them that this is happening to them. When I see them getting side hustles and stuff like that, that's just an indication or indicator of one thing to me. They don't have financial literacy, a high financial IQ, and they're not taking personal responsibility of their finances. I'm just saying, okay? And again, I'm not saying I don't feel for these people, all right? Because it's tough. It's tough. But I never ask or tell somebody to do something that I don't do myself. I study money all the time. That's just my thing. I'm not saying they have to do it to the extent that I do, but unfortunately, because of the environment that we're in, and this is a capitalistic country, and I love it, the country's monetary system is broken and it's crooked and it's evil. Again, that's why quote unquote prices rise, because they print the money up there in Washington D.C., the treasury bills and everything else. And when you're getting paid in a money that another man can print, let's just say that's not fair to you. And it's hard. It's very hard to live that way. But still, you got to put something on the side, regardless of that, right? And this is why I tell people you got to study Bitcoin. That will bring your financial IQ up. But the people that are depending completely on the government, not only for food, but for housing and other things, that are able-bodied workers, again, I don't feel sorry for those people. I don't. And it's unfortunate that in this country, we have so many subsidies in this country that even when they don't get them, and people go to food banks and they're not getting what they want, they're sitting there and complaining about it and not being grateful for what they have. Being grateful and humble is a thing I thought would be something that people would have during these times, but they don't even have it then. Even when they don't have anything at all, they don't have enough food stamps to take care of their babies. They're getting all kind of free stuff from daddy government and everything else, and depending on it, it's not good. So my message to you is simple, right? I'm not telling you not to help anybody, this, that, and the third, but you need to help yourself first. If you don't have the amount of savings on the side that you need, and again, I'm not telling you not to help anybody, but I've had, and this is heavy on my mind right now, I've had I'm from New York State, okay? And I know people that are losing their food stamps, and they've asked me personally for money. And I've done that before. I have. A lot of times I have. But now I am not going to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg. I'm just not going to do it, because that's just throwing good money after bad, like my grandma used to say, because that's not going to help them. That's just a temporary fix, and it's not going to help them. But as soon as I talk to them about Bitcoin or saving or something like that, that goes one ear out of the other. So, and I do have one person that does listen to me and they really want to do something, and I do help that person. Because if you're listening to me and I'm telling you what to do, because obviously you trust me enough to ask me for money. You're saying, well, Jerry, I know you don't even have a job and you have money, and I'm depending on food stamps, and I have a part-time job, and I'm asking a man that doesn't have a job for money. Maybe I should listen to this guy since I'm asking him for money. But 99% of people don't listen to me. They just want the Band-Aid on the broken leg. And if that is you in your life, I would highly suggest you really think about giving your hard-earned money out to people. I'm just saying. So bottom line is this, guys. The government is way too big. We need to shrink it down. We'll talk about that in upcoming videos, because it's a terrible thing. You need to get your financial IQ up by studying money and thinking about financial literacy. And the number one thing that you have to do is you have to take personal responsibility and know that whatever you have and don't have, it's nobody else's fault. but your own. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And again, guys, listen, we know that this system is corrupt. All these things that I'm talking about, all three of these things, this new money that's coming out into the world, it's starting to really come out now. People are starting to understand it. Not as quickly as I want to, but we can do that together by buying it, studying it, teaching others, not just about this paradigm shift and this new money, but why the money is broken that we're in today and how this new money can fix it. And it is the only way to hold all three of those things accountable. Like I said, make the government smaller and take away the incentives of printing money, because you can't print this money with this new technology. It'll bring up your financial IQ, not only by studying it, by holding it, but it'll hold you personal responsible or up your personal responsibility if you hold this money. And it is the only way, guys, the only way and the only thing that's gonna break this system, pay off the national debt, stop inflation, and bring this country back on its feet, and bring these evil people to their knees, these evildoers to their knees. And if you stack this money and get along with this technology today, in the future, your family and generations will be very thankful for you, and they'll be building statues of yourself for what you did today. And if I had to take a guess, I'm pretty sure you guys already know what that is. It's the best way to save. And for me, the only way to save. And that's Bitcoin. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.